Hey YouTubers, something important, something goddamn important. I'm in the garage again at my parents' house. I'm smoking a nice big ass cigar, as in the big ass cigar for life. Look at that big ass cigar. Anyway, the house of keeping, smoking this La Aroma de Cuba, not Cuban cigar, obviously, La Aroma de Cuba cigar, nice big ass cigar, and I'm drinking right now some sparkling water. Yes, some Polar sparkling water, and no, it's not alcohol. So, anyway, it's a nice sunny day up here in Massachusetts, or Massachusetts. Be so damn cold here, damn hot here, damn. I had a very good day today. So yeah, I made a video this morning. Doing my video of me smoking a pipe, nice big ass pipe like a big ass cigar, and yeah, smoking my pipe and shooting the shit with you guys. Aside from that, I've had a kind of a quiet day up here at my parents' house. Oh, car going by, one sec. Yeah, so had kind of a quiet day up here. My father and I, nice big ass dad, like the big ass cigar, Papa smoking SE. We went to, I really do apologize for the noise in the background, some birds chirping. My dad and I went to do some errands today. Yeah, we went to different stores to do some errands, and it's kind of a nice day up here. So, yeah, very nice day, very sunny day. Very not a cloud in the sky. Very sunny ass, like the big ass cigar. And yeah, so it's funny. This morning, I was saying this to somebody. This morning when I woke up at I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. I told this story on camera earlier this morning when I was doing my video. How when I woke up at about 4:30 to take a piss and also to have a glass of water. I think it was actually raining. It was kind of funny because the person who who was talking to about this, I'm gonna let them remain anonymous, said, "Oh yeah, we're getting rain here," and actually this morning, where I live, it was actually raining. Or thundering and lightning this morning, or not lightning, but definitely thundering and definitely raining definitely. So yeah, it was definitely at least thundering a little bit. Yeah. So what else? Today is, I believe, day 17. 17, not 70. 17, being essentially virtually alcohol free. I've been virtually alcohol free now for 17 days, so no change, really no change. I was talking to the person about this. Again, let them remain anonymous. So, yeah, no change. I haven't noticed any change in the past, almost 3 weeks. Essentially, I've been virtually alcohol free for almost 3 weeks now. Well, like 2.5 weeks now, and I haven't noticed any change. So, which is actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing because it proves that my body is not chemically addicted to alcohol. Because I think if my body was chemically addicted to alcohol, I think by this point, after almost 20 days, I would be having some degree of withdrawals, and I don't have any withdrawals. In the past 17 days, I've only had, I think, like a couple sips of alcohol, and that was at the typical ass liquor store in town. I had a couple sips of alcohol when they're doing tasting, and that's perfectly fine because honestly, having a couple sips, that's probably less than an ounce. And I mean, they give you like so little alcohol. It's like, honestly, that's just like a little speck. It's like, honestly, that's not going to hurt anything. What the doctor's, recommending right now is very minimal alcohol. By minimal alcohol, he means essentially, you know, a drink or two a month is probably fine. You know, a drink or two a month is probably fine. It's probably not, I mean, every single day is probably way too much. Because, like I said before yesterday, I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to be too repetitive. But I mean, when you think about it, like I said, one drink a day, that equates to, like 30, 31 drinks a month, or 28 drinks a month, or 29 drinks a month. It's like, that's a decent chunk. So, by reducing that to like a sip a week, that's a huge difference. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually a huge fucking difference. A huge difference. So, anyway, and I was talking to the person who I was talking to over the phone. Again, I'm going to let them remain anonymous. And basically, saying for me personally, how alcohol's always been kind of a social aspect thing to me. It's always been sort of a social thing to me. Like, it's never been about like, oh, I want to come home and drink, drink, drink until I pass out drunk. It's more like I have like a drink with dinner, or I go to a restaurant and have like a drink or two. And that's how I have always viewed alcohol since I was 21. So, because the legal age in the United States is 21 to drink. So, that's how I've always viewed it. Is honestly, it's something that having a drink with dinner, excuse me, like having a glass of wine, or having like a cider, after a long day at work, and just relaxing and doing my stuff on the computer, and then just relaxing with a drink, one drink a day. That's how I've always viewed it. So it's never been like a problem for me. And I was saying to that person, basically how I don't even like the feeling of being buzzed or being drunk. It's honestly not a feeling I'm very fond of. Like, there haven't been a whole lot of times in my life that I've been really like buzzed or like drunk. There's only been a couple times I've been like, I guess, kind of like, drunk. And I've never been like shit faced. I've never been like shit faced. By shit faced, I mean, like, for example, like really, really, really drunk. Like, I've had a decent amount of drink in the past, but I've never been like, like falling over drunk. Like, definitely not, obviously, if I hypothetically had a license, like, definitely not safe to drive. Absolutely not. Like, no way in hell. Like, no way in holy hell would I ever get behind the wheel of a car. Like, absolutely not. Like, totally illegal. Like, absolutely not. But never, like, I've never been like so drunk, like, oh, I'm like gonna like fall over like drunk. Like, I've been buzzed definitely in my past, especially when I was younger. And by younger, I mean like 21, 22, 23. But I've never been like, really, 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 really drunk, So I guess that's the whole freaking point. So, like, I'm trying to think of times when I've been like really, really, really drunk. Like, there was a time, when was it? I think it was back in 2013. I would have been 22 back then. And I went to a graduation party, and they had an open bar, and I'm not going to say who it was because obviously that's doxing, whatever, but yeah, it was a graduation party, and they had an open bar, and I had, over the course of like 2 hours, I had 3 glasses of champagne, and I had a Pepsi soda spiked with vodka, and I was feeling it. I was definitely feeling it. After about 2 hours with 4 drinks, I was really feeling it. Like, I was like, my head was really, 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 not like on fire, but my head was really, really feeling it. So, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this feeling at all. It's like, yeah, absolutely not. It's like, and I just remember I was talking to somebody at that graduation party, who I knew from a long time ago. It was kind of like a neighborhood thing, and I just remember talking to somebody and being like really, really kind of like buzzed, it's honestly a feeling I'm not very fond of. I'm not very fond of that feeling. I'm not very fond of that feeling of being drunk. Some people are, some people really like that feeling of being buzzed. Well, there's a difference between being buzzed and being drunk. Like they say, buzz driving is still drunk driving. So, like buzzed, feeling buzzed, that's like having, 3 or 4 or 5 drinks. And drunk is like having like 10 or 12 drinks. So, yeah, I mean, I had like 4 drinks and I was pretty buzzed, but I wasn't like falling over drunk. Like I've never been like falling over drunk. I guess that's the point. I mean, in my whole 31 years of life, I've never, almost 31 and a half years of life, I've never been like falling over drunk. Like I've definitely been buzzed. Like there's been a couple times that I've been kind of buzzed, but never like falling over drunk, like pass out drunk, like I'm gonna like piss myself or shit myself drunk. So. So I think the most recent time, got something in my mouth. Sorry, I had like a piece of food in my mouth. Sorry about that. The most recent time I was like pretty like buzzed. I'm trying to think of the last time I was like really buzzed. I think it was when was it? I think back in like 2017. Yeah, back in 2017. I think this was before I went gluten free. Actually, this is actually before I went gluten free. It was back in January 2017, maybe even 2016. No, I think it was back in January 2017 actually, not 2016. My dad and I went to a place called Olive Garden, which is like a restaurant, and that restaurant is notorious for being not very gluten friendly, not very like gluten free friendly, because it's all pasta, nice big ass pasta like the big ass cigar. And I think we went to that restaurant because we were gonna celebrate like one last treat before I went gluten free, and so I went to that restaurant and I ordered a glass of wine, and the first drink was very good. And I guess remember I drank the second glass of wine a little bit too quickly, and oftentimes if you drink too quickly, you can get a little bit buzzed. And I was feeling it pretty much. I was feeling it. So and yeah, I was like, this is I was yeah. What was I like 20, 25, 26 back then? And to this day, it's not a feeling I'm very fond of. It's like I'm really not very fond of that feeling because the thing I hate the most, the thing that pisses me off the most about that feeling is when you're buzzed or I guess the term would be buzzed, not drunk, because drunk is like 9, 10, 11 drinks when you're like really like falling over drunk. But to this day, the feeling of being like buzzed, it's honestly not a feeling I'm very fond of because number one, the thing that pisses me off the most is you cannot carry on a conversation. You can't carry on a conversation very well. And when I'm out to dinner with like my dad, for example, a nice big ass dad, like the big ass cigar, I like to have conversation with my dad. And you can't carry on a conversation very well when you're buzzed. And also, you feel kind of like really like played out, for a better word. You feel like really played out and like really like lightheaded. And it's honestly not a feeling I'm very fond of. Same thing with cigars and pipes. How there's been a few times I've smoked something really strong, and it's honestly the feeling of being really buzzed or like nicotine sick. It's honestly a feeling I'm not very fond of. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm not very fond of that feeling of being like all nicotine buzz and all nicotine sick. Yeah, nicotine sickness is something I'm not very fond of because it actually makes me legitimately nauseous. So it actually makes me very nauseous. With alcohol, I've never gotten to the point where I'm nauseous, but I have gotten to the point where I'm very lightheaded and very like buzzed. I've never gotten to the point with alcohol where I've actually thrown up, which is surprising because a lot of people in their 20s do throw up, and even if they don't have a problem with alcohol, they definitely throw up. I've never gotten to the point with tobacco where I've thrown up, but I've gotten closer with tobacco than alcohol in terms of throwing up, and there's been a few times I've actually come close to like throwing up, and it's really, really a feeling I'm not very fond of. And honestly, like I said, when I obviously smoke a really strong cigar, a big ass cigar, the first thing I do when I go in is I have a spoonful of sugar, and that kind of kills the feeling. So, and they say with alcohol, things like black coffee, things like taking a cold shower, things like eating a lot of carbohydrates, like breads, for example, and pastas, and like rice, for example, will help kind of dilute the alcohol, but it won't get rid of the alcohol. So, certain things like that. So, like having a cup of black coffee, having like like a big bowl of pasta that's obviously gluten free in my case, would help, but. It's honestly, yeah. And also, an important thing with alcohol, just for myself, is making sure I have like a full stomach, both for alcohol and tobacco. Like I would never smoke on like a really empty stomach. I would never smoke or like I would never drink on a really empty stomach. So, because it's really not a good feeling. So, like anytime I do have something to drink, and this is going back, way before the fatty liver, going back, when I was 21 or 22, 23, I would never smoke on an empty stomach. Absolutely, or no, sorry, not smoke. I would never drink on an empty stomach because drinking on an empty stomach is a very bad idea. That's a very bad fucking idea. So. It's really asking for trouble. So I would never ever drink on an empty stomach. It's just a bad idea. Even light beer, for example, like back before I went gluten free. I would always have it with like a meal, or obviously have it like after dinner or something like that. So I would obviously, never, I would never, like just, like chug alcohol and not have it and have like an empty stomach, because it's never a good idea. It's just a really recipe for making you sick. So anyway, so yeah. So, and I honestly, after almost 2.5, 3 weeks of not drinking alcohol, I honestly don't really miss it much. I really don't miss it much. So, I mean, because keep in mind, prior to being 21, I didn't drink. It's like, for the first like 21 years of my life, I really never drank. I mean, I mean, so I really, it's kind of like, reverting back to when I was 20 or 19 years old when I never drank. Yeah, so it's not really that big of a deal. And like my doctor has said, yeah, like my doctor has said, it's not that you can never drink, even with your fatty liver. It's that you have to work on what's called minimal alcohol, which to me means a drink or two a month. A drink or two a month is minimal alcohol. Like even like my dad has said, like my nice big ass dad, like the big ass cigar, has said, even like having a drink a week is probably fine. Like, going to a typical ass liquor store and having like a sip or two of alcohol a week is probably fine. Like that's probably fine, because they only serve you like what, like half an ounce. Like that's probably fine. Obviously, the people who should be avoiding it altogether are people who have a problem with it. If you have a problem with alcohol, obviously you should never drink alcohol. If you can't control yourself, it's not for you. I mean, if you can't control yourself and you can't and all you want to do is just sit there and chug bourbon or chug whiskey all day long, it's not a good thing to get into. If you're that kind of person who has that kind of a personality, that kind of addictive personality, where just want to sit there just going like that, you know, it's not something you should be doing personally. Absolutely, absolutely not. No way in hell. Because it's like, you know, if you have that kind of a personality, and there are some people, unfortunately, there are some people who have that personality, who just essentially are alcoholics, you know, who physically can't drink socially, who it's just always an addiction for them. It's never a good thing for them. So, and honestly, their motto should be sober, 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 no alcohol whatsoever. And I've heard the saying that for people like that, people of that personality, even like, oh, one sec, YouTubers.
Thanks, Libby.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Sorry, YouTubers. That was just my dad. My dad was just coming in to look at his bike. So, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that little interruption. So, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, for people who have that kind of a personality, where essentially they physically can't drink socially. They physically, it's like a crutch to them, and essentially they have to like just be basically just be drinking, drinking, drinking till they pass out. It's probably not a good idea for them to ever drink. And I've heard, like I said, I've heard for people like that, even social drinking, like even having a drink like one at like with like dinner, for example, is generally all or nothing for those people. It's all or nothing. Either they can do it or they can't do it. Like, for example, if I had a drink with dinner tonight, which I'm not planning on doing, I'm not planning on doing that crap, but say I hypothetically had a drink with dinner tonight, I could have a drink with dinner tonight and then go a week with no drink. It's like, or go 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's not a problem because my body is not chemically addicted. But unfortunately, there are some people there are some people who, like literally, like even having like one drink, with dinner can send them into a terrible spiral, terrible, fucking spiral. So, and for those people, it's probably the best choice for them to remain completely sober. So completely sober, like not even a drop of alcohol in their life. So. And as soon as I get the okay about the fatty liver, as soon as I get the okay by my doctor, as soon as my doctor says, Evan, you're clear of the fatty liver, you no longer have the fatty liver disease. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to probably one drink a day or one drink, a couple drinks a week, no problem. It's like because in my case, I don't drink nearly enough alcohol to cause a problem in my liver. So. And kind of what I was saying yesterday, how basically alcohol is very high in sugars, very high in carbohydrates, and that can very much exacerbate the fatty liver because anything that's very high in sugars and carbohydrates is generally a no-no for fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So in my case, as soon as I'm given the okay, I can go back to, a drink a day or a drink, once every 3 days, and that's no problem. So, once my doctor says you're cleared of it, and that might even be later this year or so. And, yeah. So, another thing, excuse me, excuse me, God, tickle my throat. And like I said, also, the big thing for me right now is weight loss. Excuse me, is weight loss. Is really, really, losing weight and really, really focusing on, getting closer and closer to an ideal body weight. Anyway, have a nice day, YouTubers. Pretty fucking cool. Bye.